That's the kind of faith we need to have, church. And all of us men gathered around him, and we all laid hands on him and prayed the same thing. We wanted that child to rise up if it was in God's will. Same thing happened to me. Where's Sister Johnson? When Harold died. And I didn't all like, you know, get all hyper spiritual and stand on the table and go, ah, come on everybody, I'm gonna raise him from the dead. I just walked over to the casket and I laid my hands on him. And I just asked God to lift him from his life and give him life. Because I believe God could have done it, sister. And if it's not in God's will, that's okay. Listen, I've never healed anybody in my life. It's not even my job to heal people. My job is to pray. My job is to lay hands in faith and ask God to do it. And he decides. So I laid my hands on. I wasn't mad when it didn't happen. It wasn't God's will. But I believe it can happen. Because it says we will do more than what he did. Greater things. So what do we need to be seeking to do, church? Just have, you know, we come to God and we feel his presence a little bit. I'm seeking more than that. And I'm telling you, it's happening. I mean, thank God for small miracles. Sister V2, you came to me, we talked, you were in dire straits. And confused and not knowing what to do. I see a strength in you today that I didn't see a year ago. And God is blessing you. That is a miracle. That is miraculous that her whole family is being touched in one way or another by God. These things are not insignificant. Now what we want is we want to see somebody raised from the dead, or we want to see someone's arm just miraculously become whole. And those things might happen. I'm going to keep praying. But it's just our job to pray and have faith. It's not our job to do the miracle or to fix the problem. That's what we give to God. I was telling you earlier, that's when I was praying, I'm just feeling this. When I let God open, when the Spirit fell and I opened up to the Spirit, I had recognized how much I'm trying to hold things together. And I just let it go and began to weep. Because I am trusting in God in faith. Because, you know, we got to stand strong, and I'm the pastor, and I can't have problems, and I've got to be the one who helps other people with their problems. You know what? I'm human just like everybody else. And if I got a problem, I got to do the same thing you got to do. And I got to do the same thing you got to do. I got to trust in the Lord. Praise God. Well, isn't that awesome? Not only did Peter ask, but Jesus says, sure. You better be careful what you ask for, because Jesus just might say yes. And then you walk out in faith. Because now that Jesus said yes, Peter's in a position where he's got to start walking. And he stepped out of the ship and he walked on water. Can you listen, church? We read the Bible and we hear things, but sometimes it's my job as a pastor to bring it to life. To amplify what's really going on. We read it, oh, he walked on water. No, but just put yourself in a position of being in a sea. Stepping out of a boat. And when you step your foot out, you're supposed to sink. And you stand and begin to walk. I got a good imagination, church. I'm here to tell you, that must have been awesome. That must have been so much fun. Now, like most things, fun does not always last, does it? I've always told you, when things are going good, look out, because it's coming. When things are going bad, don't worry, because it's not going to last. So what happens next? Verse 30, but when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. And he cried, saying, Lord, save me. Now wait a minute. This is the same guy who had faith enough to ask to go out in the water. This is the same guy who began to walk on the water. He saw that his feet did not penetrate the sea. And he looks at the storm and goes, I'm in danger. For what? That's some of us. God's taking care of us. We got breath in our lungs, a place to lay our head to sleep. We got enough food to eat. And the storm comes and we go, God's been taking care of you all this time. Don't be afraid of no little wind. Peter started looking at the storm instead of his miracle. He was a miracle. He's a standing miracle. And he's looking at the storm and becomes afraid. He's with the king. No reason to be afraid. The Lord's trying to tell us something. We're all going to go through storms. We're all going to go through trials and tribulations. But you do not have to be afraid. If, oh, there goes that word again. Man, people want to say unconditional. God's unconditional. 1,522 times the word if is used in the Bible. If is a conditional word. This is a cornerstone of my ministry. Listen, there is an if. There really is. And I hate to say it. I wish I could say that everybody who believes that Jesus is a real entity, then they're going to have everything you want. No. If you are his child, if you are chosen by him and you respond to that calling. Now, there's no question. Everybody in this room, including you new people, good to see you. Good, well, you're not new, but it's good to see you again. But you're called. You're not here by accident. God wanted you to hear something today that came from this preacher. It's not an accident. And I'm going to give you what God gave me to give you. And that is that there is a condition to this ability to have no fear. I don't fear death. The only thing I fear, to be honest with you, and it's probably just a selfish thing, I don't know, but I fear pain. I don't want to go through a whole lot of pain. I don't like pain. Who does? But I'm not afraid to die. I was telling Carol today that I love my son so much. And I didn't understand this until I had a child. So I have more empathy for parents these days. I didn't before I had a child. Oh, I had real good lectures for you parents. Till I had one of my own. I love him so much that if he needed my heart, my lungs, my anything, if it would take my life, would be insignificant. I wouldn't care one bit. Take it, whatever you need, so that he could live. And I die. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid of loss. I'm not afraid of, there's things that happen in your life. There's sorrow. I'm not afraid of that. The only thing I'm afraid of is pain. Because pain that's a tough one. I don't know anybody who says, man, I'm not, hurt me. Come on. Cut me right here. I'll be all right. But I'm not afraid of anything else in my life. I'm not afraid of nothing. And this is not an ignorant thing. This is not, I'm afraid of a hot stove. Obviously, I'm not going to walk, put my hand on it. Look, I'm not afraid. That's also involving pain. But when it comes to life, I'm not afraid of much. I can't think of anything that would really scare me except for my child. Now, that's something I might be afraid of. I have fear for his health and safety because I only have him 50% of the time. So when he's not with me, but you know what I do as soon as that comes? Have faith. I put him in God's hands because I'm not with him for that time. I can't do anything about what happens when he's not with me. So I turn it over to the Lord. And it's not even that hard. You get that little feeling like, I wish, I had him more. But hey, God, you're in charge. You know what time it is. Do you know how much energy I save? You know how much I save in terms of anxiety, and I don't get that kind of depression if I allow that faith to come. Now, when I didn't have faith in my life 2 years ago, I lost a lot of faith for a short period of time, and depression came. Depression came, but when I got my faith, guess what happened to that depression? Goodbye. Doesn't that sound like a pretty cool life? I feel like a superhero right now. I'm like, I just told you my superpowers. The only thing is that anybody can be this kind of superhero because we all have access to the same power through the Holy Ghost, and you can have it anytime you want. Don't you sit there and look at me. What I just said is wonderful. What I just said is powerful. You should be clapping right now. Are you not excited about that? Think about what I'm saying. You have complete access to this power. It's yours.